Hello, thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Mindy Kilgrove, and I am here with author Kaci Lane. This evening, she's going to be talking to us all about her book, Mom Ball. Look at that. Such a cute cover. We are so excited. Jen Camden is here with us this evening. Hi, Jen.
Hello.
And she has lots of questions, just like I do. We both enjoyed reading Casey's book, and we can't wait to dive into it and discuss it with her. If you've read Mom Ball, please feel free to join our conversation. We are on Zoom live right now, so anybody is welcome to pop in with us. But if you're just watching this as a replay, please drop any questions you have for the three of us into the comment section. We'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible. And I'm going to start with asking Kaci to give us just a brief description of Mom Ball.
Okay. Mom Ball. This is Brooke. She's in my Single Southern Mama series, which starts with Mom Squad. Mom Ball is the second book. She has a long-going relationship with Nate. They were high school sweethearts. You can actually read Brewing Up Love, which is a novella. That's the prequel that tells their little backstory in high school, but how he gets drafted for the Atlanta Braves. She goes to college, kind of everybody goes about their day. She finds out later in college that she's actually pregnant. And all my books are closed door, Christian point of view, and that sort of thing. So it's very, and that leads to why she did some of the things she did, like why she kept it a secret, why she didn't want to ruin his career. There's a lot of forgiveness in the book, though, as well. Like her small town is, you know, also very helpful with her and her son. And it's kind of takes a village to raise them. Her mom and dad, like, yeah, we'll help, So the boy grows up, he's like 8 years old, and he wants all of a sudden to play baseball with his friends. And she's kind of stayed shy from baseball just because of, that's kind of what split them up and different things. And she never really, of course, he's got natural talent because his dad is an Atlanta Braves pitcher. So go Braves, that's my team. But so long story short, he comes back to his hometown, healing from an injury, kind of rethinking, am I going to retire or what? Because he's getting close to 30. He's got his mom to take care of at Apple Card, Alabama. They mistakenly meet up when her son is hitting excuse me, not golf balls, hitting baseballs in the cow pasture across from Nate's house that he just bought, which is down the road from Brooke. And she goes to check on her kid because she's kind of a helicopter single mom. She's having a spa day. She gets on a four-wheeler ATV, for those of you who aren't Southern, with mask all over her face and a bathrobe and all this stuff. That's their meet cute. She's climbing down a cow pasture fence to get after her son and runs into him. So, yeah. And it goes from there. You can all, they obviously get together and he finds out the kid he loves is actually his and happily ever after. But that's it in a nutshell. So,
Thank you. That was a
yeah.
very comprehensive summary, and it reminded me I should have told people before we
Yeah.
got rolling that there will be spoilers.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. We can put
But
a disclaimer on the bottom like a ticker tape.
there will be spoilers when we're dealing with the book club. We want to be able to discuss the entirety of the book. So if you haven't read Mom Ball, be sure to pop onto all the different sites and grab your copy. But if you have, this is a great time to ask some questions to the author. So
Mhm.
I do have one, and you did
Okay.
answer some of my questions in your little
Oh, good.
summary. So that was pretty cool. But just so our readers and Jen and I can get
Mhm.
an idea, when you were writing
Mhm.
Nate and Brooke, did you have a fantasy cast? Like, if this were ever to be adapted into a movie, these are the
Mhm.
people I would want to play my main characters.
I usually do that, and sometimes it's like a more recognizable face, and sometimes it's just someone I grab. Like I love Pinterest. I have so many like boards on Pinterest. Like I said, my Pinterest is bipolar because it's all like dessert recipes and ab exercises. But besides that, I have a lot of home decor that I like to do that. But then I also have a lot of hidden private like boards that I do of like, these are houses I would like my characters to live in, or these are place, that sort of thing. And I will find my Google, anyone, you guys know, anyone who's a writer, like our Google is so sketchy. Like I will Google like good looking guy, 25 to 35, brown hair, whatever. And it's like, I'm like, which my husband knows what I'm doing, but I'm like, I look so creepy Googling stuff like that. But I do have pictures saved. I do believe, as a matter of fact, he is the guy that is it Ian Summerfield who was on Lost and then the Vampire Diaries. I kind of had
Mm.
that in mind with facial hair for him. Yeah.
Okay.
And then she was just like, I found some kind of girl. It said she was on Scrubs, I think. I've never seen it, but it was a girl working in the hospital, but she looked very much like your just all American, just, the brown hair, the big eyes, just super sweet looking. And those were the pictures that I dropped into my writing program that I had saved on Pinterest for them. And that does, I don't know, I know some readers and other writers have shared this. I would love to know if you two do it too. I actually see what I'm writing or reading play out in my head like a movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
exactly. Hmm.
yeah. So if I have that person in mind, it just kind of helps it go through and flow. So yeah, I did that.
That's great. I love that. This definitely played out like a movie.
Mhm.
So I could totally see someday, let's knock on wood,
Yeah.
that good things happen and this becomes adapted. And who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe those will
I will have to
wind up.
say, since I've noticed Zac Efron now has facial hair, if you're listening, Zac Efron, you would be a great Nate when I make this a movie script. Because he used to be so boy, now that he looks, I'm like, he would be a good Nate. So,
Zac Efron is just so versatile. I think
yeah.
he's one of those, both as a writer and a reader, that we
Mhm.
like to picture him
Yeah.
as that leading
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. He can do anything.
So, Casey, I have a question, and it was kind of similar to the one that Mindy asked. I
Okay.
also was wondering, like, what your dream cast would be if this was made into a movie. But I wanted to say first, so Mom Ball, I was like, I'm a teacher, so I work all the time, even at home, and I was like, just squeaking in little bits and pieces of the book here and there, and I'd be like, oh, I really need to make time to read Mom Ball tonight because I'm at a really good spot, and I don't want to. Pause. I want to keep going. Part of that was that the characters were so relatable. And like one of my favorite parts is what you already said, like the meet cute of Brooke and Nate, and how like that's just, I could picture that happening in real life. Like one of
Mhm.
those awkward moments, but like it's still super cute and it's still super like I am gonna give a little bit of a tease in the book where Brooke climbs on her four-wheeler and she's in her robe and she's all disheveled, but Nate's checking out her leg. And so it's like, oh, even though she's a mess and she was not expecting to see him, like he's still interested. So
Yeah.
super cute, super relatable. But I was wondering if when you wrote these characters, including all of the other women that are a part of, Brooke's story,
Mhm.
if you had real life people in mind, people that you know that gave you some inspiration for any of your cast of characters.
Yeah. Um, there's a lot of Brooke in me. Like, well, obviously I didn't have a child till I was 30 and I'd been married a while, but it's some of this kind of relates to some of my background in dating athletes and different things. And I actually got married, not married, that would be bad. I actually got engaged in a cow pasture. And I looked really bad. My husband surprised me. We were on a four-wheeler. So I thought, what can be so awkward that and I was like, that. But a lot of her personality, I think, is similar to mine. I have a very good friend. I don't talk too much anymore because she's moved off, but she's very free-spirited, was very hilarious. I took a lot of her for the girl Aniston, who's in here, Mom Squad. And then Morgan is everybody's favorite. After I write the Christmas book I'm writing now, I'm going to write Morgan's book. I've been kind of holding on to it, and people's like, when is it coming? But I always write a Christmas book because I love Christmas. My readers love Christmas. Everybody loves Christmas, and it gets me in a good mood. So I'm writing a Christmas book now. So I had to push it back a little, but I'm kind of glad I did because I'll see things at school or in Dollar General, just random stuff. And I'm like, Morgan would do that. Morgan needs to do that. Morgan's gonna potty train a possum. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. Yeah. So, but Morgan is the combination of every funny, hilarious friend I've ever had that can be a little hot mess and just owns it. And some people I wish I could be. I tend to lean more toward Brooke, like just a little straight and narrow, like, want to just be a Southern Belle. I wish I could be Morgan. So, yeah.
I'm so glad Morgan's book is coming because that
Yeah.
was one of my questions. I wanted
Yes.
to, so this is going to be a nice segue. I wanted to know if Morgan got a book because
Hmm.
I know at the end of Mom Ball, we do get
Hmm.
a chapter from Morgan's POV. But I was also wondering if Aniston got her own book. She
Yeah.
seems like she has a very intense story.
Yes. So the way I write, and a lot of my other author friends write like this, like we write what we call standalone series. So it's like if you were to take one of my series and read them
Hmm.
synchronous, in a order, like chronologically, you would get more little inside jokes, some Easter egg things, but it's not going to really be a big, like you wouldn't catch on to things. So obviously Aniston's with Dr. East and West, which I thought was a funny name. But if you read Mom Squad, which comes right before Mom Ball, you will get Aniston's story where she moves back to town and Brooke and both Morgan kind of take her under her wing. Morgan was Aniston's late sister's best friend. So she kind of shepherds her and helps her back into town. And she comes into town to raise her niece and nephew after her sister and brother-in-law were in an accident. So that's she's very free spirited, lived in a camper, did not want to come back, and was kind of, your classic Hallmark, oh, you got something in the wheel, it's a house and two kids. So yeah. So that's her story, Mom Squad.
And then you do have a third book in this standalone series, I believe, Mom Bod. Did I say that right? Is
That's
that
gonna
what
be
it is?
Morgan's. I teased that. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
I haven't shown the cover yet. I've showed the title. Yeah. So
Okay.
that will be up for pre-order eventually. I've right now, like I said, I'm like Christmas, Christmas. But early 2026 is the plan, if not earlier, to have probably really early 2026, you can see Mom Bod. And if you read Mom Ball, and there's a little place in the back, a little link, like you said, you could get the extra epilogue. And I like to do that to kind of tease the next book and get the next main character. And the people who read all my books know, okay, that's going to be the next main character because I've sprinkled their POV in. And that's Morgan's. And there's a guy who's in a scene in this at the baseball field who shows up. He's new to town. He's a little older, kind of a, fit, fitter than a dad bod type guy, little middle age, like little salt and pepper maybe. And he's, just shows up out of nowhere and helps with the kids. And they're like, who, if you ever been in a small town, you're like, why are you here? So helping with these kids, that's a little creepy. But then they learn he's nice and whatever. And there's a scene I wrote that scene from Morgan's point of view in the extra epilogue. And you're seeing her and him, and they have a conversation in the dugout. And they will meet up again at the Dollar General, and it's gonna be fun. So, yes.
Jen, did you have another question? I don't want to cut you
Well,
off here.
no, you're good. I was just gonna say I can just picture that scene, Casey, that you were just talking about. Like, I really hope that Morgan is a hot mess in the Dollar General. I hope she is like she looks ridiculous and she's yelling about something and being ridiculous, and then like hot older man walks up and it's just this whole thing. Like I love the
Yeah.
awkwardness because it just makes it so realistic and
Yes.
it's just fun to read those moments. Especially just this is the first book of yours that I've read and
Okay.
already yeah, I totally get that people love
Yeah.
Morgan because she is
Yeah.
wild and she is wide open and it's just like I cannot wait for more of her.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take attention away from Mom Ball, but I'm super
Mhm.
curious about your Christmas book. Can you tell us anything
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it?
It is called What Happens in Tunica, and it follows my Apple Cart County Christmas book series. And if you see all the mess in the back, well, minus the gymnastics mat, all these boxes and bubble wrap, I'm going to a book show tomorrow night and Saturday. So I've got copies. I should have grabbed more and just showed, but I have copies of all that. of these, but Christmas in Dixie is the first, then Crazy Rich Rednecks, then Queen of My Double Wide Trailer. It's like a arranged marriage. So one of those marriage of convenience. I love the marriage of convenience and the little fake relationship trope. I don't know why. It's just so fun. It's so easy to do awkward with that. And then now I'm writing What Happens in Tunica. I was actually writing that before I hopped on here. And it has the couple from Crazy Rich Rednecks who are very opposites attract type, and they are getting married in it. One of the first scenes is the first scene is he's getting ready to propose, and second scene he proposed to her. And then the book kind of goes through their family holiday, like all the other books kind of touch on the family holiday, and it's in line with that. And then they end up in Tunica because she is a director for like reality TV and different, you know, things like that, like for, you know, like baking shows and that sort of thing. That's how they met. And he, you know, they're kind of there, and their family is kind of harassing them, like to have a big wedding and a big Southern wedding. Like, we can do it at the church, we can do it in our yard, and they've already thrown them parties, and they're just kind of, so they end out in Tunica, wanting to get married in Tunica at the casino. So
Fun.
I'm getting to write the part in Tunica right now, so it's been fun. Yeah.
I
Now,
feel
when we're
like
talking, go ahead.
if anyone who's watching this is Southern, that sounds like a must-read series if you're Southern. Because like
Yes.
everything you said, I was like, yes, yes, I believe that. I think I've seen that. Like that just sounds
Yeah.
again like super
Yeah.
realistic and fun.
Yeah. And the people who know us well, they will see a lot of my husband's family in Christmas in Dixie and my family in Crazy Rich Rednecks, just how we do our traditions, and it is so funny. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask about Apple Cart counties, so I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you said it in
Yeah.
connection with your Christmas book. So you mentioned in Mom Ball,
Uh-huh.
Apple Cart County and Moonshine County, and I just wondered, are those real places or is that from your imagination?
Everything I do is like sarcasm. Every bit of sarcasm has a little bit of truth to it. So, what I did is we're from Fayette County. I know I'm saying it like FET. It's actually FAYETTE. But if you're anywhere from around there, you say it like Fayette, and that's how people know you're from there. And my husband and I are from two different towns in that county, Fayette and Berry. And in my, I have two towns I feature in Apple Cart County, which is Apple Cart and Wisteria. Wisteria is the smaller one that don't really have any kind of shopping, but Dollar General, just like I grew up. His was a little bigger. So basically, all I did to make it more extreme, though, was I took all the stuff we're embarrassed about, or everybody's like, oh my gosh, you live here, and put it in Wisteria, which is where the Christmas book takes place, the Christmas books. That family's from there. And I took all the little, you know, Heart of Dixie, little Southern, of course, there's still crazy stuff, but all the little picturesque stuff and put in Apple Cart. So it puts it more extreme than how we really are. And Moonshine County, if you live in Alabama, you'll get it, but it's a neighboring county to ours that has a lot of crime.
Okay.
So yeah.
I was wondering when we're talking about naming things, so that explains how you
Mhm.
named the different places, but I was wondering if Nate's last name as Miller had
Mhm.
anything to do with the whole apple thing, because Miller means apple
No,
in
but I
Greek
like
and
that.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Generally what I do is I think of names that I'm like, okay, who all do I know personally who are athletes? I can't name them any of that because might, even if they don't read, people will think I wrote about them, and I didn't. Like I said, I take bits and pieces from everything messed up in my life and just make a person, you know, or make
Mhm.
a situation like me getting engaged in the cow pasture, you know. And a lot of it does come from me, my husband, whoever. If you've read Bama Boys, my husband's kind of sprinkled all throughout that.
Aw.
But so what I do is I make sure it's not a name that someone's going to think is them, and then I go in and I'll try to Google sometimes. Like I don't want to. I'll think of a last name, just generic, and then I usually Google like, is there a Nate Miller? And it may be like some old dude on LinkedIn in a tie or something. I'm like, okay, I'm good, you know. But I don't want like another athlete on a team I hadn't known about to. that's one of my biggest, I guess, nerves is that I'm gonna write somebody and they think I wrote them, and it's like, no, this totally just came out of my head. So yeah,
Great. I know Jen and I talked about this a little bit beforehand, but I was thinking we could talk about some of our favorite moments
yeah.
in Mom Ball, and then maybe you could tell us some of your favorite moments, like
Hmm.
either as you were writing them or as you're editing them, and you're like, "I'm hilarious. This is so good."
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that fun when you edit and you're like, wow, this is better than I thought it was.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's always a nice surprise.
I
So,
know. Yeah. Awesome.
Jen, do you want to start and share a favorite moment from Mom Ball?
Yes, so aside from the meet cute and how basically the story opens, that was one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Um, my next favorite, in case you'll have to remind me on the name of the town, but it's like the bigger-ish town where Nate and Brooke go on their actual date. They get a little coffee, they do a little walking. That whole scene, I just felt was
The
so
the formal
endearing.
date. Yeah.
Yeah, what was
Thank
the name of
you.
it?
Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot.
Tuscaloosa.
I was it
It was,
Tuscaloosa?
I think
did
so,
I actually
yeah.
put Tuscaloosa? Okay,
Mhm.
good. I live in Tuscaloosa County now.
There you
Oh, I
go.
remember what I did. I let it be Tuscaloosa and I fake named a restaurant. That's what I did. Yeah. And I
Yes.
will do that from time to time, like Atlanta, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Gulf Shores. I put all those, but when I put a real, like, notable town people would recognize, like, I'll usually put a fake, and I may have a place in my head and then I'll just change details, but I name it something fake, usually. So, unless it's like
Hmm.
the stadium in Alabama, but yes, Tuscaloosa. That's where I
Yeah. So that whole scene of their date, that was very
am.
sweet. I just loved the vibe I got from just reading about their interaction, even though, and again, spoilers are happening, even though the date did not end how anyone thought it would. And then Brooke took that moment to come clean with the fact that Nate is Timothy's dad.
Mhm.
I felt like, of course, I wanted the sweetness to last forever, and I wanted this nice date that Brooke, she needs and she deserves. I wanted that to keep going. But of course, I totally get it. Like, as a writer, you want to hook your reader in and then you want to keep them coming back for more, which
Yes.
totally happened with me. I was like, I can't stop right now. I have to keep reading because I need to see how Nate reacts to this. But I thought like that worked very well, even though, like I said, I could have just stayed in Tuscaloosa the whole rest of the night and the next day and the whole week. But that was one of my favorite parts.
Thank you. If you read Bring Up Love, the little let me grab it real quick. I got a copy right here.
Yeah.
Uh, this is Bring Up Love. The paperbacks in my store is actually in KU because it's in a series of novellas with other authors, the Coffee Loft series. But they go there a lot in this as young adults when they're in college. So that's kind of a throwback to Mom Ball. I actually wrote Mom Ball first, so that helped. I could put, throwbacks in this like for nostalgia. This is Mom Squad. Oh, I grabbed another Mom Ball. Never mind. You can look up Mom Squad. They look alike on the back. So, yeah. But yeah, you can get those and
I'm
yes.
sure Brewing Up Love is just as cute as the whole date in Tuscaloosa.
Mhm. Yeah, they go to prom. So,
Aw,
Aw.
sounds like a good one.
yeah.
I actually picked a couple of favorite things. Mine were favorite things and favorite scenes. So I just want to
Okay.
say this one's real quick. How much I loved Granny and Smith for the names of the grandparents.
Yeah.
So cute. Loved it. I thought that was so creative too.
Thank you.
And I actually wrote this in a review. So if people
Oh,
read Mindy reviewing Mom
yeah.
Ball, this is what I wrote. It's from the book. It reads, just because we grew up together doesn't mean we're destined to grow old together. I thought that was such a beautiful way to have the characters think about where
Mhm.
this is going.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sucker for a second chance romance
Oh,
every
me
time.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
it's a second chance, I will totally read it because I
Mhm.
love it. But a lot of times we don't get that moment where they have that kind of deep reflective thinking where it's like, okay, I loved this person before. I still have the tingle for them, but I'm not sure it has a future, right? And I
Yeah.
thought you did that so well.
Oh,
So I
thank
wanted to
you.
tell you I loved it.
Thank you. That means a lot.
And there was one more. This is from Nate's POV. It reads, I turn and get in my truck. If I don't go home now, I'll be tempted to stay with her until her dad flashes the porch lights at me, just like the good old days. That's one of those swoony moments for me. So cute.
If you like that, you need to read Christmas in Dixie because that's a little funny joke in that running because the main character, Lacey, her soon to be fiance, but she doesn't know yet. He's come to propose and surprises her in Alabama, and she's like, I'm not ready for you to meet these people, embarrassed with crazy like family traditions and stuff. But her mom's always flashing the front porch light for them, and then in this, the dad does it because that's just something I grew up like my parent like it's curfew, it's just so funny. So
Yes. I had
mm,
I had parents who did that too. How
yeah,
about you, Jen?
Yeah, same.
yeah,
Again, super relatable. I forgot that that part happened, but yes, that was another one where I was like, yes, that
hmm,
happened. Super realistic.
yeah,
I had a couple of questions
yeah,
about the choices, right?
hmm,
So when when Nate finds out, it's
hmm,
like the moment before
hmm,
Nate puts it all together that Timothy is his son, and he thinks for like a split second
hmm,
that she cheated on him.
hmm,
He actually has this very mild reaction.
hmm,
And I wondered, like, as you were writing that through
hmm.
that writing process, what did you think about having him get mad, or was it always Nate's just going to be chill about this?
I pretty much wanted him to be chill just because, like you said, that could be a very real because to me, one, it was more of a shock factor to him. He was kind of in shock. And then two, just his nature, like, while he's on the mound, when he's with kids, he's just that kind of always calm. If you read this, like even back when he's 17, 18 with her, he's always kind of like the calm to everybody's and you see his internal struggles, like he may be nervous in a game or around her, but it's like he just kind of masked that, having grown up with a single mom, kind of having to grow up early like that, not having much. It's like he become a man early and he's just doesn't have a lot of hothead moments. And that's one thing I really liked about his character is we see so many guys, I guess especially athletes that are just so cocky that they just fly off the handle. And I wanted him, just for her sake to be like, because and two, she had built it up so much, like she was so afraid that he would freak out that I guess I needed some calm in that. So, yeah.
I appreciated that because it was so fresh,
Hmm.
instead of having him be
Yeah.
angry and upset and irritated and just
Hmm.
it was really nice to have him
Oh,
be just
good.
able to deal.
Hmm.
But that brings me back to what was your when you were writing, Casey, what was a
Hmm.
favorite moment from this book?
Hmm. I would say Nate too. My husband's like Nate, like in that sense. So I'm the one that's kind of like, I'll keep it even keel for a while, and then I'm just like all at once I'm like, "Ah, I've had it, and he's always just even getting on to the kids for something where he's just I'm like, how do you do that? But I admire people like that. My favorite, obviously, the cow scene. I like TikTok Tammy. She's all in Mom Squad too. Every one of my books I have, and this attests to me, like I love a romantic comedy, but I do err more on the comedy side. That's just my personality. I have the humor of a 12-year-old boy. I'm just goofy like that. I always love to throw in a side character that's just they will be in the background doing something just ridiculous. I said, if this is a movie, I really want TikTok Tammy. I would love to play her just to be funny. Like, I'm not an actress, but just be in the background, like, sitting there like she is, all dolled up, yelling at people, flirting with a umpire. That would be so out of character for me, but it'd be hilarious. So, yeah. And oh, shout out a guy that actually knew, well, I knew of him because our schools played each other. Lucas Black. He was in Sling Blade. He's in NICS. Is it that you say NICS? I don't watch crime stuff, whatever. Law.
NCIS.
Thank you. The one in New Orleans, but he grew up a few hours from me. He has a very Southern accent. I would love for you to play Jeffrey in this. So I've envisioned him when I wrote Jeffrey. So he could play Jeffrey. So there we go. We've cast him and Zac Efron already. So there we go. Look, yeah.
Got it all wrapped up. Well, I loved TikTok Tammy. I'm
Yeah,
guessing Jen did
good.
too, because she was so much fun. And
Yeah.
I feel like even though she's like a little bit more of a hot mess than even Morgan, I feel like she was still very lovable. And I wanted good things for her
Yeah,
and
yeah.
her girls. And does she
Mhm.
eventually get her own book?
I don't know. She's a little rough around the edges. We'll see. Maybe she ends up in Moonshine County. I don't know, but oh, I do love the part where Georgia buys the baseball number. Because since I have a son, that's actually him when he was little. I noticed that picture got put in there from church. But anyway, my son plays baseball, and so I'm always in these random groups like about, baseball, what's the best bat or some, I do stuff like that with cheer for my daughter, and I won't look at it for years. And then oh, we need to buy a new mat or bat or something. And I'm looking on there, and I happen to be in one of those groups when I was doing research for this, and I asked a few questions. I got some funny stories just from other moms, like hilarious. And one of them was of a woman who literally bought a number on a little league team from someone else because she was obsessed. Everybody in her family had that number. And I'm like, I was like, that will be perfect for Georgia. So I had it, and my husband's like, every movie we watch, you know how they slide the number across the table? And he's like, you got to do that. That's so annoying, but it's in everything. So that's what he's to thank for that. So, yeah.
And then wasn't it Morgan that was facilitating that whole deal? She was making it happen, and
How
Brooks like,
did you
I would have
do?
just given the kid my number, and Morgan's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
no.
Brooke is so like I am. It's like you could have had it. Like I want peace. I don't want controversy. And they're like, no, we're gonna get you some money out of this.
Yes, and it
Yeah.
must have been a ton of money because I think you said something about she was shocked by all the zeros on that check, and I was like, oh dang. So to hear that somewhere somebody actually did something
Yeah.
like that, that's funny.
That I was laughing reading that in that Facebook thread. I was like, really? Like, I mean, I know there's people with way more money than I have, but it's like of all the things you could spend money on, go to Disney before you do that. I mean, come on.
And for it to be Little League too, like, wow.
Yes, it was like,
You-
yeah, it may have been travel ball, but still, like the kid was young, like, like young age. I'm like, seriously? Uh,
When we're talking about the things that could have been real life,
yeah,
when they're in Moonshine County and Tammy goes over and starts drinking with the other parents from the other team, I was like, I know that. I've seen
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That
yeah. Some
happens.
people will just go find the party wherever they are. And
Yes.
you got to kind of rein them in, like, okay, don't get lost. You're supposed to be with us. So she's that fun. And that, like I said, that's, you said bring your favorite drinks. These are mine. So, like I said, sometimes I could see how actors would like to play someone different than them just to be funny. Like that would be funny. Be TikTok Tammy. Maybe
I
I'll
just
be
had,
her for Halloween.
oh, if you
That's a
could
good
find
idea.
shoes with the baseballs for the heels, that was so creative.
Yeah. I saw a picture of that online in a group too. Somebody seen them in a thrift store and posted it. And I'm like, this is what Tammy's wearing.
I just had a couple of more questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So we talked about this when we got to meet for the author chit chat. We talked a little bit about music or playlists
Yeah.
that we create either while we're writing or after we're done, and you're thinking, okay, this definitely, goes with the book. Did you
Mm-hmm.
have anything in mind for Mom Ball?
Oh yeah, like I think I did mention on that chat that one of my favorite we did our favorite sports movies, and one of mine is The Sandlot because I watched it growing up and my kids are obsessed with it now. They really got into it during COVID, and now they'll watch it every, 6 months or so again. My son can quote it. But there's this was actually the song my son hit to maybe 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years. I don't know. It all these seasons run together in my head. But the walk walk-up song that he had. It's by Green Onions of all things. I had to find it. Like I was, who is that?
Oh,
When the little team that's like got, actual bicycles and jerseys and stuff come and like to the sand lot and they're like, yeah, yeah, and at each other. It's that little retro music in the background. And it was so cool at the ballpark. Everybody's like, yeah, when you hear it, you know where you've heard it. So I have that on the playlist. And there's a scene where they're going up to Jeffrey's team. And I imagine that playing in a movie in the background. And then just your usual, like the AC/DC, like all the old 80s rock. Like if this is a movie, I'm just going to call it Manifest. Is going to be a movie one day. I would love for the opening scene to be the kids in the pasture in that movie All Star that come out when I was in high school. Play, hey now you're an all star. Be playing while the credits come up, and then they hit a windshield with the ball or something like that. I just, like I said, I imagine in my head like that would be great. So
Jen, did you have any more questions before I throw my last one out there?
No, you can go ahead and do your last one. I know we're almost ready to wrap up.
yeah,
Yes. Do you have any tips or advice for aspiring writers? I know you probably meet people all the time who say, "Hey, I've started a book, but I can't finish."
Mhm.
So just something you would tell them.
I would just keep at it. Even I'm a perfectionist, and that kept me for a long time to not finish a book. Once I wrote a book through, it got easier. The first book I wrote will probably never see the light of day. I had to hone my craft on this is a novel and not just everything in my head, or a series of long articles because I'd been a journalist before. But if you just literally just finish it, like anything, like if you're, on some kind of workout plan, if you're doing a devotional, if you're, I don't know, name any kind of art project, you always feel better when you finish it. And it's kind of like that gives you motivation to keep on. So that's my biggest tip is don't be too critical on yourself. Because it's like I said, if, today I wanted to write 2,000 words. I maybe wrote 1,200 because something come up and I had to go to town and do something for my kid. But had I said, oh, I'm not going to have time to write, that 1,200 is way better than nothing. So you